Hi everyone and welcome back to Next Diecast. For today's video I'll be showing you and reviewing this 1/18 scale Bugatti Veyron 16.4 Grand Sport Vitesse made by Rastar, or Rastar. It's R-A-S-T-A-R, I'm not really sure the exact pronunciation of it. So you can find this particular model for kind of a wide price range between $45 and $60 or so dollars depending on which site you buy it from. This is the cheapest 1/18 scale Bugatti Veyron model that is currently being sold. As many of you probably know, Autoart and Minichamps both made models of the Bugatti Veyron for over a decade when it was being produced from 2005 to 2015. And those models go well over $200 new and in used condition. But Rastar, which is known, and here's the box that the model came in. This brand is actually known for producing RC model cars, like remote control model cars. But they offer two diecast models in their product selection, which is this Bugatti Veyron you see here and a Bentley Mulsanne, which is kind of odd considering that they are known for making remote control toys. But yeah, this model came out in the spring of 2015. I actually got it in the summer of 2016 for my birthday. But you can get this model in this really cool blue and white with the beige interior, which is actually a real color. Bugatti made one Veyron in this color scheme, and it's called the Le Ciel Californian edition. It also comes in orange with black wheels and a black interior, I believe, and has like orange accents on it. And it comes in black with orange wheels and the beige interior as well. Overall, the quality, I would say, is decent, but it could use some improvement in some areas, especially for the somewhat higher-end price that this model was sold at. Let's go ahead and get into the details here. We'll start up here with the front of the model, as always. Rastar did a really decent job, I would say, with these headlights. They look kind of like the Minichamps headlights, too, because I've seen pictures of that model, too, and I've kind of compared it to the Rastar version. But you can see, like, the LED row down here and the bulbs up here. There's no pegs to be seen, and the lenses are perfectly flush with the body. There's no gap in them whatsoever. The grills, unfortunately, are just kind of a textured mesh. It would have been nice to see them perforated, especially at the price point of this model. But this chrome surround you see here, it looks like it's metal, but it's actually plastic. And it is a separate piece. Like the grill's a separate piece, and that's a separate piece. So that's kind of cool to see. And it looks really good. It looks like a real kind of metal chrome piece from a distance. This Bugatti badge you see here is actually a three-dimensional piece. It pops out, and it has Bugatti painted on it. It's built into the grille, but it looks like a separate badge, which is pretty cool to see. Paint quality, I would say, is good overall, but not perfect. You can see that between the white and blue back here, there's a little bit of like a rough edge here. Can't really see it too much from a distance, but it is noticeable up close. So they could have done a better job, I would say, with painting between the blue and the white. Especially for the price point that this model comes at. These side grills here, they're kind of the same thing. They're not like a perforated mesh or anything. They're just kind of like a textured mesh, and same thing with these grills back here. So there is some lacking detail in some areas. Overall build quality, I would say, is very good. These mirrors are very sturdy. They don't move at all whatsoever. And the windshield is very firm. That doesn't move either. The doors are nice and tight when they close and everything. Just overall, I would say the build quality is very good on this model. You do have full suspension and steering, as you can see here. Wheel detailing, I would say overall, is good. There are some areas of the silver where it's applied too thin, which is kind of disappointing, but from a distance you really can't see that. The brake discs are nicely detailed, and they do move with the wheels. And the calipers have this Bugatti inscription on them, and you can see that it's kind of like a shiny silver, like when the wheel goes through it. It looks like a separate badge almost, but it is actually just painted on. The tires say Rastar on them, which is kind of strange. It would have been nice if they had just have them like as actual tires, like with like an actual tire brand name instead of like the Rastar name on it. But that's not really a big deal or anything. These Bugatti gas caps are on either side of the model, and they look pretty good. Excuse me. They have like the rivets in them along the perimeter, and they have the Bugatti badge in the center painted on in blue. This The car does sit a bit high up. You can see there's like a gap between the wheel well and the wheel here. But you can easily lower the suspension if you just take off the base of the car and just maybe cut down the springs a little bit. I've seen people online do that with this model in particular. Moving along to the rear of the model. This taillight looks very cheap. It's just painted on. I wish they maybe done a separate plastic piece on there. And the exhaust pipes also look pretty cheap, especially for the model of this price point. They really should have at least painted the insides of those black. But the taillights overall, I would say, look very good. They're separate plastic pieces, of course. There's no pegs to be seen. The lenses have a nice texture to them, and they're nice and flush with the body. Like there's no big gap in the perimeter between the metal and the plastic, as you can see. This Bugatti badge back here, it's not three-dimensional or anything, but it does look nice in that silver. But yeah, again, everything could kind of use a little bit more detailing. Engine detailing, I would say, is kind of lacking. It's just kind of like one plastic piece on here for $45, which is the price that I got for this model at, or maybe it was closer to $42. But even so, you would expect maybe a little bit more detail on the engine. And from like a far distance, it doesn't really seem too bad, but up close you can tell that it does kind of lack a little bit with overall detailing. There is at least a Bugatti badge on this side and a 16.4 badge on that side, which is on the real car as well. You do get an opening front luggage compartment, which actually doesn't, when you turn the car upside down, it doesn't just fall open, which is nice to see. It actually locks in place when you close it shut. So we'll go ahead and open that up. It's a bit hard with just one hand. Here we go. Not too much to see in there. There is kind of a nice texture in this like little luggage compartment here. And it kind of has like a glossy black look and a flat black look on here. They don't just do like one kind of plastic piece. This is like multiple plastic pieces in here, which does look good. The underside of the hood, they actually fully paint it. They don't just leave it as like bare metal or anything. But yeah, it would have been nice to have maybe a little bit of carpeting in here. But $45 is kind of like on the borderline between low end and high end, so you can't really expect that 100% in models of this price range. I'm gonna close that up. Interior detailing is where it gets kind of interesting in both good and bad ways, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. The seats have a nice shape to them, and they do have kind of a nice texture to them as well. There's like the diamond stitch pattern on here. They are a little bit too thin, however. You can see on the side here, they should be a little bit thicker. That's kind of odd if you look at it in comparison to like the other models that have been made of this car. They do have a nice blue Vitesse inscription on the headrest, which is nice to see. And there is a Bugatti logo molded into the center of each seat, which is pretty good. Just could use a little bit more, I guess, three-dimensional detailing. There is this Bugatti logo in this kind of center piece here. I don't know what it is on the real car. It might be like a storage thing. Kind of looks a little bit too glossy, but at least they do kind of some coloring in there. This model does actually have full fabric seat belts with these little buckles on here, and that's really cool. A lot of models in the $45 to $50 price range don't include fabric seat belts, so this kind of rivals the Autoart version a little bit in that way because it has the fabric seat belts with these buckles, and they do move and everything too, which is really cool to see. Door panel detailing is decent. Doesn't really have a leathery texture to it. This is kind of like a flat plastic texture. But the door handles are nicely painted on, and there's a little bit of blue on there, as you can see. You can see the little window buttons and everything. And there is this kind of black painted on in the center here, as the real door panels have. So they did a pretty good job with those, I would say. And these little windows on here are also very sturdy. They aren't loose. A lot of times on model cars, they'll have the windows on the door handles. They'll be really loose and they'll break off easily. But on this one, no, they are very sturdy. The center console is where it gets interesting here. You can see that there really is not that much detail at all. Pretty disappointing. If there were other models being made of the Veyron that were of this price range, that would kind of make this model look awful. But considering this is the only cheap model you can get of the Bugatti Veyron, I would say that this is excusable, but not really that much excusable. I wish they maybe done a better job with painting on like the little badges that go in the, or like the gauges and everything that go in these little circles here. That center circle there is where the hazard flashers go, so you could maybe paint that one red to make it look somewhat more like good, I guess, in terms of detailing. But they really kind of skimped on the detailing in the center console here. At least the shifter is a separate piece, and they do actually include the little buttons around the shifter, but they aren't really painted on or anything like that. The dashboard does kind of have a nice texture to it at the very least, but again, it is kind of lacking in terms of overall detailing. On the floors here, they do have these little like floor mat kind of step things in there, but again, I wish they maybe focused more attention on the detailing in the center console here, because it doesn't really look that great. I would almost compare this to like Motor Max quality, which is very disappointing for the $45 price range. On the other hand, though, they do actually include a full liner around the inside of the windshield. A lot of times on budget model cars, they'll just have like a bare plastic or bare metal, but on this one they actually have the like the brown liner around it. And there are buttons along the rearview mirror that are painted on, which is nice to see. But again, doesn't really take away from the fact that they really skimped on the detailing in the center console here. Wish they had done a better job with that. On the other hand, the steering wheel, I would say, looks good. It has the silver painted on in the center, and it has the Bugatti badge painted on there as well. The stalks on either side for the wipers and headlights and everything, they look pretty good. And the gauge cluster, as you can see here, they are three-dimensional. They don't just do one big sticker for all three gauges. They do separate stickers for each one, and each of them have kind of a chrome perimeter. So that maybe takes away a little bit from the lack of detailing, but not too much. And the pedals down here, they look pretty good. They look kind of like the brushed aluminum on the real car. But again, if you add it up, this interior is probably like a 2.5 to 3 out of maybe 5. But again, you can maybe detail some areas yourself if you really wanted to. Now, although the detailing does lack in some areas, the fact you can find this model of a Bugatti Veyron for $45 to $55, and the fact that that Minichamps and Autoart have it for over $200, I would say that this is worth getting that model alone for your collection. And this color you actually can't get on any of the other higher end models. This blue and white, which I think is probably my favorite color scheme for the Veyron, is only available on this cheaper Rastar version. But yeah, overall it does lack in some areas. I think maybe because they produce remote control cars, they maybe weren't, I guess, used to making the same quality of diecast as other companies. And I'm sure the licensing costs, because this is a Bugatti model, were pretty expensive for them, so they didn't really want to, I guess, make it too much of an expensive model. But on the other hand, their Bentley Mulsanne that they make in 1/18 scale is an excellent, excellent, excellent model. If you want a model that has carpeting for $30, then get the Bentley Mulsanne. So it is a bit strange to see that they produced that really good Bentley Mulsanne and this kind of average to slightly below average Veyron. But I'll review the Bentley Mulsanne in the near future, and I'll kind of, I guess, compare that with the Veyron in terms of its quality and everything. But overall, if you want a cheap Bugatti to add to your collection, and if you have like the Barago Chiron and kind of want a second, and kind of want like the Veyron to go with it, I would definitely recommend buying this. Just watch in terms of pricing. I would definitely not pay over $55 or $60 for this model if you can. But overall, if you can find it for a fair price, I would say definitely get it for your collection, especially if you collect supercars and Bugattis and everything like that. I hope this helps. Please feel free to leave any comments in the comment section below. As always, be sure to subscribe to my channel and follow my Instagram page, which is Nick's Diecast page. That's all lowercase and no spacing. Thanks for watching.